Well, a new study out of Germany is changing the way that experts are approaching recommendations for talented kids. And here to help us understand the science is Dr. David Nathan, a psychologist with Allina Health. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
Let's quickly, the study was done in December, and basically it's saying that outstanding achievement, like in an adult, was thought to depend on strong early performances. But
that's right.
The study challenges that.
Absolutely. That was an assumption we've had for a very long time, that if someone's really good at something when they're a teenager, they are going to be the expert when they're an adult. But this study, which was gigantic, was worldwide with nearly 35,000 people in lots of different areas. There's musicians, and there's scientists, and there are athletes. There's even chess players. What they found across the board in all these different countries was that the people who were the very best as adults were mediocre to decent when they were teenagers, but they were not the very best people. And the people who were the very best when they're teenagers, they seem to kind of peak early, and they do not become the experts and the most capable people in adulthood.
So what does that say that how we should help children who show talent maybe for certain activities?
So what the research says is one of the factors that really seems to contribute to people being good at something in adulthood is having lots of different activities and lots of different interests when they're younger. So we have people who are athletes who were in theater, and they played musical instruments, and they did all kinds of different things. Maybe looked into journalism and did all these different things, and then they seem to kind of focus on one thing as they get older. And there's some questions about what is it about doing lots of different activities that seems to really be a required factor for someone to be extremely good in adulthood, but it does seem to be there's something going on there with having lots of different activities, and also not expecting someone to be the very best in adolescence that predicts whether they're going to be really good in adulthood.
That's interesting, because I've heard sports, I would say, like coaches, and a lot of times several of them talked about athletes doing the really good athletes are those that do 3 different sports or played 4 different sports. And so they're using all these different muscles in different areas of their brain too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a couple different theories, and one of the ideas is that by having lots of different activities that someone's doing, they get to kind of figure out, like, oh, this is the one that I really, really love. And as they become older, when they're 18, 19, 20, they decide that's what I want to focus on. So by exposing people to different things, like, ooh, here, do this kind of activities here, or do these kind of activities here, they've had a kind of a wide variety of experiences, and they can really choose from a variety. This is what I want to focus on. So
what does this mean then for parents of gifted kids? Because then you're just hyper-focused on one thing, right?
Well, the recommendations are pretty clear that expose kids to lots of different things, and this also generalizes out to not just gifted kids, but everybody. You know, exposing kids to lots of different activities really seems to have some benefits to helping people be successful and helping people to find activities and jobs that they like having in adulthood.
Was this a surprise to you, the data, or to anyone?
I think, well, yeah, I think for a long time there's this idea if someone's really good at something when they're young, well, of course they're going to be good at it when they're older. But this study is so big, with nearly 35,000 people all over the world in so many different areas. This really provides a lot of evidence that it's not necessarily just being good when you're a teenager, not just focusing on one thing, but all these people who are successful as adults, they've got lots of things going on when they were teenagers, and they weren't necessarily good. So it really challenges that assumption.
How can parents, grandparents support kids then when they're young? I know you want them to, be in different, you suggest doing different sports or different activities, but how can they support?
Yeah, I think creating opportunities for children, letting them just, try this out. You don't have to do it forever. Maybe try it out for a season, or maybe try it out for a semester, or something like that. Encouraging children and teenagers to, try this club, and just be active, just do different things, and that seems to help cross-pollinate kids and help them be more successful as they get older.
And how can people learn more about your work? Because you're going to be a monthly guest of ours, and we really appreciate it, because I know we have a lot of questions for you, but how can people learn more about your work?
Oh, well, I work for Allina Health, and people are looking for a therapist. They can contact Allina Health. We have over 80 different therapists at Allina, and I'm one of them, and I'm happy to help all my clients.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nathan. Always good talking to you.
Great. Thank you.